Hey guys, Faisal here from Phase and Codes. Today we're going to be looking at user commands, going to be looking at how to add a user, how to delete a user, how to create a password for a user, how to modify a user so we can lock them and then we can unlock them laterwards, how to modify users to add them to the sudoers file so they have certain permission, how to add groups, how to add users to the group, how to check users' password information, such as the date of the last password change, the minimum password age, the maximum password age, the warning period, meaning the number of days given to the user to change their password before it expires, the inactivity period, meaning number of days after a password expires before it is locked. We're going to be looking at how to set password expiration date for a user. So we're going to be covering a lot in this video. So let's get started. So first, I'm going to be opening PuTTY. And if you remember from our last session, we have saved our server keys. So we're simply just going to click on virtual one, and that will open up our server. I'm going to change the font by clicking on the top where it says root and virtual machine. And I'm going to scroll down where it says change settings. Click on change settings. Click on appearance. Click on change. And I'm going to be picking the size 16. And I'll press OK and I'll press apply. All right, that's much better. Oops. All right, so let's get started. All right, so the first thing is, how do we check who we're logged in as? So to do that, we type in who am I without any space. Now we press enter. Now you'll see it shows us we're the root user. Now, how do we check how many users are on the system? To do that, we put cat space slash etc slash passwd password and press enter. Now you see a lot of information here. The user, you see the user ID, the group ID, and you see what kind of groups they're in, what's their primary group, what's their secondary group, and then you get to see their shell, what kind of shell there is. So this is a lot of information to see at the first, because we just want to see what users there are. So to do that, just to see users, we simply put comp and comp gen space -u. Now we press enter, and now you'll see the same information from above, but just with the usernames. So this is helpful when you just want to see the usernames on the system. All right, let's take a look at how to add a user. So to add a user, we simply put user add and then space and then name the user. So in this case, we'll put user 1. We'll press enter, and now we'll check the users on the system, COMPGEN space -u. And now you'll see the user 1 that we just created has appeared. Now by default, the user that you create does not have a password. So now if I were to switch into the user, you'll see that there's no password prompt because default there is no password. So let's set up a password for our user. So let's exit out of here. There we go, exit. Now to change the password or to add a password for a user, we simply put passwd space and then the name of the user. So in this case, user 1. Press enter. And now it prompts us with a new password change. So now we'll put in the password. In this case, I put a simple password. So it's telling us that it's a bad password and this password is easy to crack. It's too simple, but for the tutorial's sake, I'm going to continue with it. But you should always put a password that is certain characters of length with special characters and numbers. All right, so I'll re-enter the password. And now you'll see our password has been changed. So now if we were to open up another session, and we're logged in as user1 that we have just created, user1 at our IP, and press enter. Now we see we're prompted with the user1 password. Oh, oops. I forgot the user1. Let me reopen that. Yep. All right. So now let's close our other session, put in our password that we set. Just connect to the internet. All right. So let me put in the password. And there you go. We've logged in with our user1. All right. So let's continue our session in the root user. All right. So we've added a password for a user. Now, how do we delete a user? Well, that's easy. We simply put user and then del for delete, and then space, and the name of the user. So in this case, it'll be user1. Now we press enter. And now if we list the users on the system, you'll see that our user1 has been deleted. All right. So let's add another user. User, add the name of the user. This time we'll pick user2. Press enter. All right. Now we'll just confirm that the user has been created. And as you see, the user2 has been created. Now, how do we lock a user? Well, we simply put user mod for user modify, and we put hyphen capital L and the name of the user. So in this case, user2. Now, if we were to switch into the user, we can still log in as a root user. But if we were to SSH into the user, so user 2 192.168.52.136, and we put in the password. Actually, we haven't set the password yet. So let's actually set the password first. We put in password, PASSWD, and the name of the user, user2. Where only the root user can change the password because we don't have sudo, we're not in the sudoers file. So let's exit out of here. Let's change the password, being the root user, password, user2. We'll put in any password. And now we have set up a password. So let's unlock the user first. User mod with the u command. capital U, and then the name of the user, user2. So let's log in, and now you see we can log in. So now let's confirm this. Let's confirm the logging. User, user2. All right, so let's look at this in live. Let me first change the font, change settings, appearance. Let's make it a little bigger. Click apply. All right. So let's lock the user first. User mod hyphen capital L, the name of the user. All right. So now the user has been locked. So let's try to log in. And as you can see, access denied because the user has been locked. We can try again, and it'll give us the same response. Now let's unlock the user and see what happens. User mod hyphen capital U and the name of the user, user2. Now let's try to log in and see what happens. Aha! Now we can log in. So now we learn how to lock a user and how to unlock a user. Now, when I was signed in as the user2, you saw before, I tried to change the password, but I couldn't. So let me show you that one more time. So let me switch users, SU for switching users, and hyphen means new environment, and then the name of the user, user2. All right, now we're in user2. So let's try to change the password. Hmm. So we can change our password, but we cannot change other people's password. So if we were to create another user, let me actually create another user. Add user user3. Now let's change into our user2. Now let's try to change the password for the user3 we just created. You see, only the root can change the username, the user password for the specified user. Now how do we get around that? Well, we need to put our user2 in our sudoers file. What is a sudoers file? Well, a sudoers file is a file where you have certain permission. You have more permissions than a regular user. So you're not exactly root, you're not exactly a root user, but you have root privileges. So let's see how that works. Let's exit out of here. Now let's modify our user to give him permission so he can be in the sudoers file. So we'll do that by user mod. We'll put in hyphen A, capital G, and then we'll put in wheel, and then we'll put in the name of the user. So user2, and we'll press enter. Now, if we change into our user2 and try to change the password for user3, now we have the capability of changing the password for user3 password. So let's do that. There you go. Now we'll enter a new password for the user3. All right, now we successfully have updated the user3 password. We have done that by using the sudo command because we're in the sudoers file that we added previously. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at how to check who's in the sudoers file. So to do that, we put in get ent space group and then space and then wheel, and we press enter. So you'll see wheel as in the root and then our user 2. So this is how you check to see who's in the sudoers file. In the sudoers file again, it means that you have root privileges, but you are not root, but you have root privileges by using the sudo command. So you must use sudo in the beginning and then the command, whichever command you want to run. All right, so that's how you add the user to the sudoers file. Now let's take a look at how to check the password information. So we're going to put in password and we're going to put in a hyphen and we're going to put in S, capital S. We'll press enter. See, only root can do that because we haven't used a sudo permission. So let's use that with sudo. Sudo password S. Oh, we haven't specified the user that we want to see the information about. So we'll put in the user 2. All right. So there's a lot going on over here. So let me explain to you each category. All right. So the first one is quite obvious. It's the username. The second one is the password status. So P is for password and S is for status. And if there was L here, that means it's locked. And if there was NP here, that means there's no password. Now the third column means the date of the last password change. Now the fourth one means minimum password age. So right now it's set to 0. And then the fifth column means the maximum password age. So this has been set to 999. That's by default. In the next column over, you'll see the warning period, meaning the number of days given to the user to change their password before it expires. So in this case, it's given 7 days to the user before the password expires. And the last one is the inactivity period, meaning number of days after password expires before it is locked. In this case, it's set to -1, meaning it will never be in an activity period. So how do we change these? Well, let me show you. We can also list the same settings with using the change command. chag -l and then the name of the user. So in this case, user 2. And now you'll see the same thing, but in a different format. So you'll see the last password change. Let me actually clear the screen and then re-enter the command. So you see last password change, password expires, password inactivity, amount expires, maximum number of days between password change, and the number of warnings. Now, this is very similar to the command that we just run before. So password, capital S, now the username, user2, and we'll put in sudo. So you'll see right here, the maximum number of days. You'll see 0 for the minimum number of days, and then and so on and so on. So how do we set these? Well, let's set these right now. Now, if you wanted to change the expiration date for the user, we simply put chage, and then hyphen, capital E, and then we'll give it an expiration date. So in this case, we'll say 2023, and we'll say the month is 01, and we'll say the date 30. Oops, I forgot to put the username. So it'll be user 2. Oh, we haven't used sudo. So let's put in sudo and let's try that now. And let's have a look now. So chag space -l and then the name of the user, user2. And now you'll see that the account expires on January 30th, 2023, just as we said it with the E flag. All right, now let's set the password expiration date for the maximum number of days. So to do that, we put in chag hyphen capital M, and then we'll specify the days, so the maximum amount of days, and we'll say 20 for this example, and then we'll give the username, so user2. We haven't put sudo, so let's put sudo, and now let's press enter, and now let's list chag hyphen L and the name of the user, user2. Now you'll see the maximum number of days between password change is 20. So let's now set the minimum. So let's set the minimum number of days between password change. Now to do that, we put in chag hyphen small l lowercase m, and then we'll put the date. So we'll say the minimum days will be 7, for example, and then we'll put in the username, user2. Make sure to put sudo if you're in the sudoers file. If you're the root user, then you do not need to put sudo. Let's press enter, and let's take a look. chag hyphen L and the username, and now you'll see the minimum number of days between password change, 7. Now to remove the password expiration date, we simply put chag hyphen capital M and -1 and then the name of the user, so user2. And now if we list you'll see maximum number of days between password change is -1, meaning now the password has been that's the expiration date has been removed. All right, now similarly you can do it by putting in chage and you can put in the username user2 and you can press enter. Now with this it will prompt you with all of the options that we have just done with the flags. So for example, minimum password age, we'll put in 10. Maximum password age, we'll put in 15. Last password change, we'll say 2023-01. Actually, we will leave this as default to today's date. We'll press enter. Password expiration date warning, meaning how many days before it expires, they'll give you a warning. We'll put in 3 days. And then the password inactive, we'll say 4 days. The account expiration date, we'll put in 2020. Actually, we'll leave that as default that we set it as. And we'll press enter. And now if we list the changes, chag-l and the name of the user, user2, you'll see that it has been updated to our configuration. Now you might be asking, why is this useful? Well, this is useful when you have workers that are only working for a certain amount of days, or they're on a contract and you want to set their password expiration date so that way you don't have to worry about it laterwards. You can just set it up for the certain amount of days that they're working there for, and then you can forget about it. So that's really helpful for that situation. All right, so let's take a look at how to add groups. Actually, before we look at how to add groups, let's take a look at how to switch the user's shell. So let's take a look at the user's shell first. Cat etc/password. And now we'll see for our user 2 and our user 3, we have the shell bin and bash. Now, if I wanted to change the shell to no login shell, meaning the user can't log into the shell, we'll simply put user mod and we'll put in hyphen s. Oh, sorry, we'll put user mod. We'll put in the name of the user first. So in this case, user 2. Then we'll put in hyphen s, and then we'll put in s bin no login. I have not used sudo. We have to use sudo. And now, if we cat etc password, you'll see the user 2 shell is no login. Now, you should not be able to log in to user 2. So, well, we're logged in as of right now, but if we log out, let's log out actually. And now let's try to log in. The account is currently unavailable. So that's because we just changed the shell. That means the shell is not a login shell. And usually, in most cases, this is a service account. When you see a shell that it says no login, that's usually referred to as a service account. Or if it's a nobody, if you see nobody, that also refers to a service account, meaning as if there's services running on that user. All right, now let's change that back so that way we can log into our user, and we do that by user mod. We put in the username, so user2, and we put in hyphen s, and then we put in /bin and bash. Make sure to use sudo. And now, if we were to log in, user2, user2, now you can see that we've logged in. Now if we were to cat the content, the etc password, cat etc password, you'll see our shell has been changed back to bin and bash. Before it was no login because we set it to that from here by using the user mod command. And now we have our bin and bash. So now this is our user that we can use. All right. So let's take a look at how to add groups, how to add users to groups. All right. So how to create a group. Well, before we create a group, let's first check the files of the groups. So to do that, we'll do cat /etc/groups. So you can see these are all the groups that are present on my machine. So user 2, user 3, these are all the groups. All right, so let's create a let's create a group. To do that, we put in group add and the name of the group. So we'll say developers. Developers. Oh, I forgot to use sudo. And now, if we list the content in the group, etc cat etc slash group, you'll see our group developers has been created. All right, so how do we delete this group? Well, we simply put in group delete and then name of the group. So in this case, developers. Make sure to use sudo and press enter. And now, if we list the content in the groups file, see it, group etc and group. Now you'll see that the group developer has been deleted. All right, let's add the group again and let's add a user to our group. Group add, we put it developers. Oops, we have a new sudo. All right, let's list. This is confirmed that the group is existing. Yes, we have created the group again called developers. Now let's add a user to the group. So to add a user to the group, we put in g password passwd hyphen a for add, and then the name of the user. So we'll add a user to it, and then the name of the group. So in this case, it's developers. And now we'll press enter, adding user user2 to group developers. Now let's make sure. And now you can see that the user2 has been added to the developers group. Now how to remove the user? We simply put g password hyphen d for delete the username, so user2, and the group name. So in this case, developers, and make sure to use sudo. And now it says removing user2 from group developers. And now let's just make sure that it's been deleted. Cat etc slash group. And as you can see, our user2 has been removed from the developers group. Now how do we change the group's name? That's simple. We simply put group mod hyphen for n, meaning new name. We put in the new name of the group, so we'll say, we can say groups with an E and an S, and then we'll give the current name, which is developers, and we'll press enter. And now if we cat the content in the group file, you'll see that our developers group has been changed to groups. All right. Now, let's check. Let's check how to view the users in the group. So to do that, we simply put in groups, and the name of the user, and we'll put in user2. So user2 is in the groups of user2 because he is user. That's a primary group. This is a secondary group. So the primary group of user2 is user2, obviously, and the secondary group is user2 as well, which it comes by default. And then also, if you remember, we put them in the sudoers file, which is in this called wheel. But on other distributions, it will be called sudo. So it depends on what distribution you're on, whether it's called sudo, whether it's called wheel. But essentially, it's the same. So how do we change the primary? Well, that's simple. We simply put user mod, we put in hyphen small case g for group, and then we put in the group name. So in this case, it's GROPES, groups. Yep. And then we'll put in the username. So we'll say user2. And now if we list groups of our user2, hmm, I think I did that wrong. Hmm. So let me actually run that command again. Hmm. Let me just confirm. Oh, all right. So let me just confirm this. I believe we have to be root user to actually change the primary group. But that's essentially how you change your primary group with a lowercase g. And if you wanted to change your secondary group, we'll put in the capital G. All right. So now I showed you how to add and remove groups and how to add users to the group. And that is all for today, folks. It's been a long video. If you guys like the content, give it a like. If you guys have any questions, comment below. I'll see you guys in the next one.